Our interview this morning is with Travis King. Travis was born in Carlton, Texas in October of 1923. He served in the United States Army February 1943 until October of 1945. His highest rank attained was Staff Sergeant. This interview was conducted at Burleson, Texas on Friday, June the 15th, 2012. My name is Dale Dexheimer. I'm not related to Travis in any way. Also in the room we have Milton Gibson and Gary Burton, who are our videographers. This interview was conducted for the Veterans History Project at the Library of Congress and also Operation Remember City of Burleson, Texas. And with that, Travis, you can tell us your story of your years in the Army during World War II.
Well, I was employed at the time I received my draft notice by Consolidated Aircraft Corporation in San Diego. I decided that I wanted to go back to the West Coast, not to Texas, so I transferred my draft notice from California to Texas, where my home was. I was drafted somewhere in the early part of '43, and after I was inducted in Camp Walters, and from there I went to Fort Lewis, Washington. I stayed there until December 1943. And I transferred to Fort Benning, Georgia, where I was in the Airborne Division for a short time. I didn't make it. Deficiencies in, I can't think of the word I want to use. It's not important. Later I was shipped to Fort George Meade, Maryland, where I went overseas. And I arrived in Italy sometime, and I don't know when. But I was in the Ripple Depot there for a short time, and I was transferred from there to southern France. And I was assigned to George Company, 7th Regiment, 3rd Division. And we arrived in southern France just as the grapes were. It was time of harvest. Anyway, we liberated some grapes, and we didn't have the runs, but we had the scours. Later I was, but anyway, we were in a hurry to get to there, and we were the first ones on the Rhine River. And we, of course, were withdrawn immediately to train for river crossing. And at the time at that particular time, they captured the Remagen Bridge, and that relieved us of the duty of having to cross the Rhine River. We did cleaned up Strasbourg, France, and then were assigned to the Colmar Pocket. I think that's where I know that's where I received my $1 million wound, and transferred to the hospital. And I was in the hospital till they released me. My buddies went to the movie that day, and I was having stomach problems, and my knees were up above my chin, and I told them I was too sick, and they accused me of gold bricking. And during the time that they were seeing the movie, I was operated on for appendicitis. And this beautiful nurse, I remembered how pretty she was. And the doctor told me at the time that I would be up, sitting up the next day, and that I was to eat a full meal and all that. And I informed her of what the doctor had said, and she had a fit. And went to see the doctor. You didn't treat a patient as cruel as he was facing, according to what she said. But anyway, to impress her, I made sure that I wasn't hungry, but I ate my meal, or ate at it that evening. The next day I was up and walking. And a few days later, a colonel called me, and he had been flat of his back for 8 days. And at that time, I realized that I was a guinea pig for something new that was in the appendectomy region. They turned me out of the hospital, and I went and told me that to get back to my outfit the best way I could. And I hooked up with David Silverman. And I know we went through Belgium and on into Germany, and we run across the 45th Division, which is his outfit, and then I went on into Salzburg, Austria, where my outfit was located. There's 3 of us left, me and 2 Polacks, Job and Jablonski, left out of the 37 that went into the George Company together. And from there I was received my notice that I was being discharged. And I went to Paris and then on to Le Havre sooner or later, and crossed up. I remember going on a troop train from, I don't know where we landed anyway. I saw the Statue of Liberty, and I remember the boats, they were spraying water to welcome us home. And I rode the troop train into San Antonio, and we stopped to rest stop somewhere in Arkansas. And I bought a pan of cornbread for, seemed like it was 25 cents. I never will forget this. Oh boy, was complaining that he wouldn't have any cornbread to eat. And the woman told him that, shut up, and called him by name. I don't remember that. But anyway, I got the pound of cornbread, went back to the train, and I shared it with my comrades, and I got a little piece. All I got was a little piece of it. And we went into San Antonio, and it was on the way home that I discovered that I was being discharged on my birthday. And I forgot to intersect in there somewhere when I was in the hospital. My mother was having a hard time communicating with me because I was supposed to go into El Paso, and she was trying to notify me that my brother had been killed. He was killed, I think, from the Battle of the Bulge. It was Worm, Germany, is where he was killed. And I could be wrong on the pronunciation of that. But that's about all there is to my story. I got my It was after I was discharged that I joined the 10-20 club. I think it was 20, $20 a month for 10 months. But later on, I decided to go to school, and I got my Bachelor of Science degree on the GI Bill. And it was later on that I got my master's degree. At Texas Tech, that's where I received my Bachelor of Science degree. I think it was Texas Technological College back then. Now it's Texas Tech. And then Texas A&M is where I got my master's degree. I've been a fellow feeder at the public trough all my life. I went into extension service, and from there after I went into foreign service. I was posted in Quetzaltenango, Guatemala City, Saigon, Texas A&M, and then after Saigon, and Bangkok, then Washington, did the tour in Washington, D.C., and then wound up my career in foreign service in San Jose, Costa Rica. Was the extension service in Guatemala. I forgot what I was in. And Saigon, province rep was what my official title. In Bangkok, I was community development, and in Costa Rica, I was agriculture officer, was my title. And that's about it.
Well, that's a pretty good start, Travis.
And I should have brought a glass of water.
What?
A bottle of water anyway.
Yeah, we'll see if we can get one here, Travis. You were you were born in Carlton, Texas,
Right.
which is in Hamilton County. But when you were inducted, you were in San
California.
Diego.
San Diego.
So,
When I first,
what'd the family do down in Hamilton County?
they were on the farm in Golden Community.
I know you had at least one brother. Did you have? Were there
One.
more of you?
There was a sister. The oldest one was sister. My brother was older, and I was the baby of the family.
And there were 3 of you?
3 of us.
Okay. Okay. And Dad was a farmer, and you went to school down there in Hamilton County?
I went to school and graduated in Carlton. I think it was a year before they started the 12th grade.
Okay.
I went through 11 grades of school.
And graduated somehow, and after, okay. I guess my question, Travis, how'd you get to California?
Well, it was, everybody was, hey, Tex, what was it? Hey, Tex, tell Archie that Okie come home, or something like that. Everybody was going to California to work in the aircraft plants in 1942. And so that was the first job opportunity. I took a test for a job. Oh, thank you. Job in I don't know what, it's in San Antonio. And I passed it, but they were a little slow and getting in. I went to California instead and got a job out there. And
Actually,
I saw all my friends pass through that was in the Navy. Billy Joe and James Vine, Billy Joe Sal, James Vine, Harmon Hoover. They were all guys that I graduated from high school with. We were in the largest class, 26 of us. They're all dead now, as far as I know. I was the younger one of the bunch. Well, no, I'll take it back. There's a couple of girls up in the house still alive.
You ever go back down to Hamilton County to the old home place?
That's where my mother and father are buried. My brother is there. And my sister and her husband are there. So, yes, it's been quite a spell, but I went back there quite often. My wife of 58 years, I picked her up in Hammondville. But
California.
she decided she wanted to live in this area. And so she settled here, and I had no choice. But we were in Joshua for approximately 25 years.
So you actually went to California. The war had already started
Yeah,
when you went to California.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see, it started in 42.
December 41, yeah.
Well, it started in December 40. Yeah, they wasn't machine guns were mock deals, but they had camouflage up, and they were fearful that the Japanese were going to come on the West Coast at the time, and but I remember I roomed with Virgil Ballister, and we rode the trolley everywhere we went. I think I paid $1.75 for a pass. Seemed like that was
For a month, probably, in San Diego.
and it covered the entire rail traffic. I mean, well, trolley or rail.
You went to California by yourself, I guess, right, Travis? I mean,
Yeah, I went
no
by
family
on a-
help or anything. You get on the train in like Fort Worth or somewhere to go to California?
No, I went by, what did they call it, by car?
In 1942,
Yeah.
you drove your own car, I guess?
No, I didn't have a car.
So you went with a friend's car or rode with somebody else?
They had what I paid 12 and a half, I believe, and they had one that I forgot there was a name for it, but people made a living that way. They drove the car from Fort Worth to Dallas or wherever, and so much trip.
Of course, today with interstates, we don't think much about that, but in 1942, that was quite a ride in the car.
You're not kidding. We had the water bag on the front of the car and all that sort of stuff.
Evaporative cooling.
Yeah, and in case your radiator went out on you, you also have water in. And you'd have extra water if you needed it. And then November, December, I don't remember which month it was, I rode the train home.
Okay.
And I was living in California when my grandfather died, and I got I don't remember when they were. But anyway, I rode the train there and back. And we drove a car to San Francisco when I was in school, and tried to hitchhike home. And these vehicles were still in operation at the time. I forget what they call them again. We paid our way to come back home.
When you came home on the train, and then you went back to San Diego, then you got inducted.
Yeah.
So you didn't see Mom and Dad for...
Well, let's see. Well, I came home and I saw Mom and Dad. Then I went to Fort Lewis, and I believe after 6 months you got a furlough.
Okay.
And I saw them then, and I saw them. Came back home from Fort Benning on the way to Fort George Meade, Maryland. I had 2 weeks that I spent at home.
Okay. If we go into your time in the service, you went to Fort Benning. You ever jump? 5
times.
Out of an airplane?
Yeah.
Perfectly good airplane flying right along, and you stepped out.
Oh, C-47. Yeah, I got my foot caught in a riser twice, and that's the reason I was physically handicapped. I couldn't. But I did my night jump, and that was supposed to qualify me. But I decided that it was better that I withdraw from the paratroops. But
you remember those 5 jumps, Travis?
Very good. The one at night. Oh yeah, I like sailing. I mean, it was nice.
That's an experience that sticks with you.
You're not kidding. In fact, it was years later before I landed in an airplane. It was those 5 jumps. It was the first time I was up in an airplane. I never landed in the plane. Hook up, stand up and hook up, and jump.
You did a lot of traveling. You went from Fort Lewis to Benning to Meade to Italy to southern France.
And southern, we were in the LCIs, and God, the Mediterranean was rougher than a corn cob. And I'm telling you, everybody on that ship got sick, except I was forced, and for some reason or other, I didn't get sick. And they didn't bother about moving the bodies. They just washed the deck off with an LCI. It was skating.
You went from Italy over to southern France on an LCI?
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Well, it was just a short distance.
When you got to southern France, you joined George Company, Company G?
7th Regiment.
And there are 3 of you left?
Yep.
Out of that original? Do you ever see those 2 other fellas?
No.
You communicate with them at all?
I had one letter from Jablonski, and that's all.
Okay.
I lost complete contact. But I tried to search for Jablonski years ago, but no luck. And the guy I roomed with in Minnesota, in Wilmot, a virtual Bolster, died in '94. He had 7 children. But he died in North Dakota. And I never communicated with him. And Fox and I were W.W. Fox, Fuchs. And I visited with him and on his father's farm in Oklahoma, his Oklahoma boy, and he was in soil conservation service, and I went into extension service. And Fox was very smart, and he made it big in the soil conservation service, but he died. The last time I saw him was in Temple, but he died early.
If we go back to France, G Company, you got there just as the grapes fermented.
Just as they're getting ripe.
So
That's ready to harvest.
I assume you being good U.S. dog-face soldiers, y'all make a little wine?
No,
No?
we never had time. We never started. You didn't stay in one place long enough for that.
Okay.
I was a friend of. I'm not a friend. Bill Maudlin. Did you ever hear of him?
I don't think so.
Stars and Stripes.
Oh, Malden.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Up front by Bill Maudlin,
Right.
you had to be. I've read his book. In fact, I've got it in my room. That's the only book I have, besides the Bible, and I've read that book more time than I have the Bible. But he invented Joe and Bill, and they were complaining about the buttons getting in the way, and I was in that same pit. Back there somewhere. And I never will forget, he was talking about Joe and Bill. The old cow was standing over him, and they said, "Oh, what I've been dreaming of all my life, breakfast in bed." And there was the old cow with her udder. Well, I didn't wake up with the cow standing over me, but when I went to sleep in the barn one night, there wasn't a cow there, but then when I woke up the next morning, the cow was in the barn. The cows were in the barn. Well, that was a fine day that you got to sleep in the barn, I'll tell you for sure.
Where did you normally sleep, Travis?
In Foxville.
Okay.
2
hours at a time?
Yeah, 2 hours on, 2 hours off, all night long. Boy, it was short time.
You got to Colmar Market. It's where you got your $1 million
Colmar Pocket.
pocket. Okay.
Yeah, it was below Strasburg, towards the Swiss border. I was cleaning that business out.
You are the recipient of a Purple Heart, a Silver Star, and a Bronze Star.
Well, they'd give a Bronze Star to everybody.
Well, I'm not sure they gave it to everybody. But your $1 million, well, first of all, what's that mean, $1 million wound?
That meant that you was knocked out for the war.
Okay. And
I was.
If you don't mind, can you elaborate a little bit on that wound, how you got it, et cetera? Or if you don't want to talk about it, certainly that's your option.
I don't mind talking about it. I've gotten different wounds. I mean, different machine guns, and I stood up too tall. One of them grazed me, I guess, right across the head. I was shot in the center of the head, and it was kind of like 1,000 lights come on whenever that, and I don't remember whether I pushed. Well, anyway, I remember the blood running down, blinding me. I couldn't see anything.
You have your
But-
steel pot on at the time,
Oh yeah, you bet.
and that machine gun just took the helmet right off.
No, helmet. No, this is tied on my head. Yeah, take
So
my head off.
Did the bullet penetrate the helmet, Travis?
Oh yeah, it went on one side and out the other. There was 2 holes up there, one on one side and one out the other.
Did you keep the helmet?
No,
No. Okay.
I don't know what happened.
That'd be quite a souvenir. So they, I
But
guess
I
they,
went to I picked a couple of German prisoners, and they carried another guy on us. I don't know where I guess we made him a stretcher out of rifles and put him on a blanket and carried him into the aid station. And I never will forget, I got to chewing out at the aid station because I'd carried a rifle inside the aid station. You wasn't supposed to have an arm of any kind inside the aid station. But I don't know. I looked at the guy. I thought he was crazy. I didn't know what he. I don't know how they got the prisoners there without, or they got the other. They carried the other guy.
when you went to the aid station, you stayed there for a short period of time, and then did they send you to a hospital, or?
They sent me to. I was just in the aid station a short period of time. Then they sent me overnight at a safer location. And I don't know how many days I stayed there, but I wound up in the hospital in Marseille.
How long were you there, Travis?
I think it's January the 25th when I got wounded. When the war ended? I don't know.
Germany, it ended in June of 45, I think.
Well, the war, I was back almost. I got back to my outfit a day or two before the war ended. And it took me a couple of weeks to get there.
You were in hospital a long time with
Yeah,
your
and
wound.
appendicitis.
And you had appendicitis while you were there recuperating for your head wound.
Yeah, I was in Section 8 ward. You know, you're a Vietnam war, did they still have Section 8?
I never got one of those, Travis. I don't know. You mentioned David Silverman, I think it was.
Yeah, I picked him up. I don't know why I remember him.
And that was my question out of your whole talking about these guys. That's one name that you seemed key on.
Yeah, I know that was his name, and he was a Jew, and his parents. He had the name of several people, and we were in this work camp, and I don't know, it's somewhere in Germany, and it was quarantined, typhus, and we were inside there, and everybody was inside, and David. His outfit was guarding around there, and that's how we got out. And maybe that's the reason that I remember the name, but I remember he sold, somewhere, this guy, I think it was in Belgium, and he put us up for the night. And David stole his scalp, and I got on him for stealing. I told him, I said, that guy, you fed us, provided us a place to sleep, and you stole his cow. And he said, well, he didn't need it. Or I
guess
call it a cow.
That's one thing in your story that I guess I note, in that when they released you from the hospital, they just said, get back to your unit.
Yeah.
They didn't provide you with transportation. They just said, find your way back.
And
What if you had decided to go over the hill and go to the south of France and retire?
They issued you a barracks bag full of clothing and sent you back to the front that way. But I could have, yes.
Let me ask you just a couple of questions here, Travis, on...
I say,
Uh,
I thought of something else.
yeah, go ahead.
I've already forgotten it.
Oops, okay. In that case, your foreign service, you have, in your almost 89 years, you've seen a lot of the world.
Yeah.
You went to Vietnam as an employee of the State Department
Right.
in
1964.
64. Okay, so the French had been kicked out 10 years before,
That's sometime.
and our buildup, I guess we had a number of technical advisors there at the time.
They started, I believe that they had just started building up. Yeah. There was a military team, and I was provincial rep, which is civilian, and that made up the team out in the province. And the only thing that saved us there in Phuc Long was the special forces moved in there, and the Viet Cong didn't realize it 2 or 3 days before they attacked Phuc Long, and that's the only thing that saved us from being really. We had the firepower then after they got there. Before that, we had the intelligence of the Viet Cong was prior to the arrival of the special forces, and I did lose my assistant, Santana. Santana was from Philippines, Ila Filipino, and he was killed. But I was fortunate I lived through it. Yeah.
Did you work out of the U.S. Embassy in Saigon, or?
I worked out of the U.S. Mission in Saigon.
Okay. Is there a little more to this story than meets the eye? What was your job or your responsibility when you were?
I was a provincial rep, and anyway, I provided the village training and also supplies that was needed any kind of disaster, mainly tin roofs, and what was the name of that? I know they fed it to their pigs.
You were supposed
Yes,
to be
we
you were supposed to be providing aid for the Vietnamese people?
Yeah.
Okay.
And providing training for them.
And the bad guys from the north didn't particularly appreciate this. Wow.
We were sitting right on the trail of
one thing I wrote down here, and I think it's pretty important to your whole story, Travis. When were you married a girl from Emeryville, California?
No, I married from Hebbronville, Texas.
Oh, okay.
That was after
When
I-
were you married? Were you
In
still in the Army or?
No, I was a county agent at Jim Hall County. We'd been married 58 years, had 4 children.
When you went to Guatemala, Saigon,
She was with me.
you got to take her to most of those places or all of those places?
all of them. Now, she and the kids got shipped out of Vietnam in May 6th, I believe it was May 65. But she was made for foreign service. I raised orchids on my side in Badcock. And she went. I tried to. All my life to be in business for myself, but I was not cut out for a businessman. But she was a businesswoman, and when I went to school at A&M, she took a course in floral arrangement in Houston, and she found out from there that she didn't want to be that, and it was more than she could take to be around the funeral. And that's more the biggest income from that particular thing. And she wound up as an interior decorator and was very successful at it. She could take us at $200 a yard material and cut that stuff.
What'd she do when you were in Saigon?
The kids went to school in the Armed Guard. I mean, I believe it was the Marines. The school bus picked them up, and
And they went to a U.S. school, I guess.
Yeah.
It was a State Department school or U.S. government school.
Yeah, right. It was Guatemala. But I know we after she got back to the States, transferred back, she held the daughter back for a year or so. She had learned the English language. So I don't know what school. I guess it was American school in Saigon. But I know we had them go into the in Guatemala, the French, they were learning French and Spanish. It was French-Spanish school. And the older boy went to American school. And he's the only one that, you have to be 12 years of age before his language stays with you. And I don't know whether the daughter has forgotten all her Thai or not. But you're getting into some rather. I accused the oldest boy of being dropping out of. He's a kindergarten dropout. But the son of a gun, I told this oldest boy that I should have shot him when he was a kid. He caused me so much trouble. And if the oldest daughter, the only reason she graduated from and got her architectural degree was because he went up to school and stayed up there in the laboratory with her and completed her project. But Frank Driver told me that at the time, says, don't worry about him, let him go. And when he finds something he needs to learn how to read, well, he'll read it. And he knows Italian very well now. And of course he has Spanish. And he's a genius. But he only does one thing at a time. And he's through with it. That's the story of it. And he went, he was like, oh, outfit here, that he still lives. World War II, I forget what his name is, but that's not important. I'm trying to. He was talking about Vietnam. I mean, Guatemala all the time, because it was his life. And then he went back there and took his wife, and this friend of his is still there. Both of them, two boys. They went. They used to slip off together, but I forget the boy's name, and I forget the name of the father. But they taught Jimmy how to ride a motorcycle, and I never will forget that. My boss says, every boy ought to have a motorcycle. Are you a motorcyclist?
Travis, you've,
Jimmy still is.
you've had a very interesting life, sir.
Oh, I've enjoyed it.
We appreciate you taking the time to visit us this morning, and appreciate your time serving the government both ways. And I think we're about done, sir. Interesting story. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate it. I've enjoyed it.